All right, so the first thing you want to do before you start taking apart your card is give it a wipe down. Chances are it's been in your case for a little while and it needs to be wiped down. So very carefully with a high percentage alcohol and a wrist strap. If you live in a place with carpet, you're going to want a wrist strap. I mean, you could go without it, but I like to play it safe when I'm doing big stuff. So we got the wrist strap, got high percentage alcohol, and a lint-free cloth. You're going to wipe it down real quick, front and back. Just make your life easy. Leave the fans alone if you can. And you don't need to use a lot of alcohol. You just need just enough to float around on it. There you go. Wipe off the back. Flip it over very nicely right now. Flip over. Wipe this side. Another thing you want to do is put that little rubber cover on your PCI cover. That'll protect the pins. I'm going to get mine real quick. Got my little plastic cover. This is what I'm talking about. This little plastic cover for your guy makes a big difference, man. So we got a little pin protector on there. Well, the next thing you want to do is read the directions. Here they are. So we're going to, first thing, step 1, remove the 9 black back plate screws circled in red. So it's going to be this guy, 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 and this guy. And that one. That's the so-called not a warranty screw. Right. Phillips 09 screws. Alright, now, assuming you have a For the Win 3 card, your back plate comes right off. It just comes right off. If you have a For the Win 3 3090, there will be heat pipes going through here, and those will be padded to the back of the car. You'll have to reuse those pads later. So be nice to them and gentle when you take them off. And then I'm going to take out these other 4. That's step 1. Step 2. It says take it up, turn the card over, and remove the heatsink from the card. There are 4 cables you need to take apart. Black, beige, blue, and 1 more black on the inside. It will actually lift up off of itself now, so what I'm going to do is continue on, actually. What you'll see is, I'm going to probably have to mute this. Now, I see people just ripping these apart, man, but a little bit of gentle love. One direction to the next. And I'm going like this, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. You have the blue, black, and beige clips undone. You have all of the screws out of the back. Now, as you see in the directions, you'll see the heatsink lifts up vertically and away from the card, just like this. And you'll see that there is that last black clip we've been talking about. And you wedge it up from the side, sideways like that. Now your whole heatsink is off. Step 3, at which point you will take off the AIO bracket, or the IO bracket, which will be sitting right there. I had to take it off just because I kind of like needed to know what I was looking at. But if you actually stick to the process, you can get it off without taking this off first. But it does make the process a little bit easier to take the IO bracket off first. Everything they told me to do, I followed the directions perfectly, and I got to exactly where I needed to. The last thing it says on the front side of the directions is using a lint-free cloth. Ooh! Using a lint-free cloth and high percentage isopropyl alcohol, carefully clean the GPU and remove any leftover thermal putty. What I would like to tell you is that you don't use metal to clean a printed circuit board. These are the tools that come in the iFixit ProTech toolkit, which I have not been paid to talk about, the stuff that comes in there. If you don't want to buy an expensive kit to do all these funny tasks, or you're only doing just this one task, you could use a gas station membership card. You can use a guitar pick, you can use a straw. Those are all excellent alternatives. So I'm gonna get to cleaning. Clean it real good. I took a break specifically in between the cut, and you know, I set the directions aside and then came back and very carefully cleaned it all off video, because it was like probably 15 minutes to clean it all. So having finished with step 4, which step 4 is to clean this with a lint-free cloth on high percentage alcohol, you flip the page over, and step 5 says to set the card aside. Having set the card aside, remove the shroud, pump, water block, and tube bracket from the hybrid kit. Now, I will say, this is why I'm going to change it up just one little bit. Hail to EVGA, but I'm going to switch my thermal paste for theirs, and I'm going to do one other thing in the process. Step 5, place the pump in the notched locations in the shroud right here. Use 2 tube bracket screws to secure the tube bracket. So we're going to take the pump bracket and we're going to secure it with 2 tube bracket screws. Here's the tube bracket. You'll see there's a notch in the middle of this bracket. That's where your fan cable goes. When you're getting this in, there's a slot on the bracket for the fan cable. Make sure you get that in there. Make sure you leave a little bit of slack in the inside. So that was step number 5. Set the card aside, place the pump in the notched locations, secure the tubing with the tube bracket, use the 2 tube bracket screws in the locations circled on the direction. It says remove the plastic cover over the pump water block before going to the next step. Step 6, remove the GPU memory heatsink from the hybrid kit and place it over the 4 mounting holes over the pump water block. Okay, now it's good to center this guy before you do what you're about to do, because the next thing is to go ahead and start taking the card and putting it on here. Reconnect yourself to whatever ground. If you've got a ground, I've got a ground, I'm going to connect to it. Step 7. Take the PCB, put it on the hybrid cooler. First, you will need to reconnect the fans and the LED connector. Connect the LED connector first. Now, there's this black LED clip over here that goes to what you were doing before. And then you'll see that the black and the beige up here still get used. The blue is going to be empty, and it says that. The blue header will remain empty. So I'm going to do what it says. I'm first going to connect this guy. Alright, now at this point it says to lower this onto the holes where the pump goes. Here I go, lowering the PCB onto the cooler again. Step 8 says to take the paper washers and take the 4 GPU screws and place them at the places circled in blue. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got all 4 of them on there. Boom, boom. Now, and then throw 4 GPU screws in. Now it doesn't say to tighten them down. It says to fasten them lightly. Place the 4 paper washers under the 4 GPUs circled in blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then fasten them loosely. Fasten them loosely. Fasten 5 PCB short screws labeled in red. So So what it means by 5 short PCB screws apparently is the ones that came in the pump bracket bag. Because these are the short ones. They're perfectly the size to go on the copper pads. So, or those little pads, so they're not damaging anything. So that's what I'm guessing is that the 5 short PCB screws actually means the ones that came in the pump bracket. Here we go, coming around the bend. Put that one last PCB screw. So to recap, step 8. Step 8 was place 4 black washers over where you had the GPU leaf spring screws before. Then you're going to loosely put in the 4 screws, put in your 5 screws, then finish torquing those down. Not torquing, but you finish putting in those last 4. Now you're going to take the I/O bracket that you took off just before. Take that I/O bracket and put it back on. Put the I/O bracket one more time. Step 10. Line up the screw holes and place the black back plate back on the card. Alright, here's my back plate. I'm going to very nicely lay it back down. Perfect. Back plate's back on the card. And then it says we're going to take back plate screws and start screwing those in. I hope that what I've done is going to make the video easier watching somebody do it and follow the steps. I'm going to edit this down and make it as nice as I can for you guys. But it seemed like the other guys that did it were really, really scatterbrained. So the last step was to take the little black deals and put them in the little plug holes. If you followed the directions and stuck with this video, I haven't even wrinkled the directions because I already read them so many times before I did this. But if you've done what you were supposed to, you should be looking at pretty much what I'm looking at right now. I hope that you had a good time. I hope that this was easy for you. Hope that it didn't make too much of a mess in your house in the process. But as you can see, I did a lot of this with you instead of just doing a whole bunch of it during editing and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to edit out some stuff. I hope that you guys had a better time. Take it easy.